Ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd. It was behind 7-Eleven, got into a scrap with a bunch of other kids. And again, this is at 10 years old. Got stabbed. I didn't have a home, obviously. I was in a group home. I got adopted. When someone asks you, hey, I want you to do 1,000 squats, one person's going to go laugh at you and go, oh, man, I can't do that. Or the other person is immediately going to start thinking about a solution. How does it work? How am I going to do it? If you're not willing to go this hard, where somebody pushing you past what your normal limitations are, then how do you expect to get to the level you want to get to make a living at it? Because that's what you're going to have to do to get there. I will say that in my career, that was focus and determination, desire, and nothing was going to get in the way of me succeeding.
Are you a man of faith?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yes. What is your thought process? Guy standing across from me is taking food off my table. He's taking clothes off my kid's back. I said, taking away my opportunity to be relevant, to be successful. I'm going to hurt him. I'm going to destroy him. He just looked at me all empty-eyed. He's like, I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can fix you. So he looks at me and goes, well, see, that's a sin. It's like I have this gift, and in my heart, in my mind, I knew that it wasn't wrong.
It was God-given.
There's no way I could be this way. It was a gift.
Yeah,
it can't be wrong. Like, it just can't be wrong. If you're going to be that guy, you're going to be him. Money isn't relevant. Being good at something and not being tested isn't good for you. How are you going on?
The show must go on. In this episode, we get to speak with an absolute legend. If you follow combat sports at all, you already know him. He's helped shape modern MMA, he's in the UFC Hall of Fame, and he's even a champion in professional wrestling. Ken Shamrock pretty much has seen and done everything you can do in the fight world. He got his start back in Pancrase in Japan when MMA was still trying to figure out what it really was. And he tells some incredible stories in this one, like behind-the-scene moments with The Rock, Bret Hart. He was even there during the Owen Hart tragedy when Owen Hart fell from the rafter. And I remember being a kid watching the pay-per-view, and the screen goes black for a few minutes, and that's not normal. And Jerry Lawler comes on, and he starts saying there's been an accident, and Owen Hart fell, and Ken really reminded me of the confusion that resulted in the coming months and years where we didn't even know if it was real or not. And he talks on his side about being a friend of Owen Hart and being really good friends with Bret Hart and the pain that came along with trying to be able to grieve the passing of your brother or your friend, but fans continue to bring up, like, is it real? And they don't believe you. And, professional wrestling is all about, kayfabe and switching sides and bait and switches. So what a mind F to be in professional wrestling when a real tragedy happens. And he goes into that, which is just so incredible. He also goes into the finances in professional sports and some of the mistakes he's made, things he wished he had known. And, I can't believe we got a chance to talk to him. So I'm grateful that we got to do that. And for those of you out there, if you haven't subscribed yet, we would really appreciate it. We just found out in our Spotify Wrapped that we are in the top 2% of all brand new shows. So I cannot believe that, because we're looking at the views and you never know, like, is that good? Is it bad? What's going to happen? And so that was really encouraging, but it's all because of people like you, and it's really spreading naturally. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It really does help us, and we're going to keep getting really amazing guests. If you like interesting things and you like living out on the edge, we're going to try and keep doing that for you. Anyways, on to the show. This is the world's most dangerous man on the Austin and Matt podcast.
Ken Shamrock, most dangerous man in the world. Thanks for letting us talk to you for a little while.
Yeah, man.
People say that, I'm like, who? That guy is definitely not here. He's not here right now.
No, at this very moment I feel safe, but I will be weary.
Yeah, being in the middle of a ring with you is not somewhere I ever wanted to be. Not even close.
Well, in this setting, it feels very comfortable.
Yeah, right. It is, yeah.
Cool. Should we start out with a few questions?
A few questions from the crowd we're going to come with.
That's right.
Ken Shamrock, most dangerous man in the world. You have a fight coming up this Friday. Is it going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin or John Jones? Who do you choose to fight?
Wow. That's a tricky one, because if you're asking Ken Shamrock at, 27 years old, it's going to be John Jones. But if you're asking Ken Shamrock at 47 years old, it's going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because I'm telling you, man, there is nothing better than getting in a pro wrestling ring with someone like Stone Cold and being able to put on the matches that he was doing at the time was just unbelievable. The crowd noise and the pop that he would get, man, it was just unbelievable. So it's not like taking anything from any one of those guys. It's just that type of entertainment that you're able to be involved with. And I was very fortunate to be involved in both of them. And being at the peak in my life, at 27 years old and 30 years old, to be able to do what I did in the MMA world, the mixed martial arts, UFC, to do that and then have such success, and then being able to go over into the world of wrestling and work with guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin and be able to experience the impact that they were able to have on the fans was just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a legend.
Yeah, absolute legend.
Hold up. Let me check my pulse. I am still alive.
That's right. That's right.
The legend lives on.
That's right, yeah.
All right. Ken Shamrock, you have a fight coming up this Friday, and you get to pick your opponent. Do you pick Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee?
Wow. That's tough, man. That one's a hard, because they're both obviously in the same discipline. They were both in the same business, the entertainment business. But they both practiced martial arts. Like, they were both good. I'm not sure about Bruce Lee as much. I've just heard. But I know with Chuck actually competed in competitions. And I don't know a whole lot about what Bruce Lee did. But I know his movies were incredible. His speed was incredible. And just what we were able to see on TV was incredible. So I would probably say Chuck Norris, just because I know more about him.
Yep.
And know that he did compete in tournaments for real. Like, I saw it. But Bruce Lee, I've heard a lot about him, and obviously, you know, his legend status still carries on today. So both those guys are really incredible, but it would have to be Chuck Norris.
I got to ask you, that Chuck Norris has this lore about him, all these jokes, and you know, was he known at the time you were entering the UFC, when the UFC was starting? Was Chuck Norris a thing that was mentioned?
Absolutely. I mean, Chuck is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. You know, I mean, just a really good guy. I don't know him well, but I've definitely been around people that do know him, and I've been around him. And the way that he treats people and his fan base is incredible. He's just a really good guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Ken Shamrock, you're in a back alleyway, and there's one man in the alleyway, and he's in a total craze. He's just gone totally psychotic, and he can't control himself, and he's going to attack you, and you're going to have to defend yourself. You get to pick who that man is. Is it Joe Rogan or Jerry the King Lawler?
Neither. I like both those guys. But I will tell you this. If I was forced to choose one, I'd choose the one that couldn't hurt me the most, and that would definitely be Lawler.
That's fair, yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no spinning back kicks coming at you.
Well, spinning back kicks, but just the way that Rogan talks, man, forget about it. Don't get him on your bad side.
That's right, yeah, that's right. He'll also kill you in the ratings.
No, forget about it, dude. Forget about being tough. That one will hurt worse.
Yeah, that's right. He's got that nice kick.
Oh, yeah.
What else we got?
Okay, let's do a few more of these. You know, always from the crowd is good. Okay, so you've got a fight coming up this Friday. Ken Shamrock, most dangerous man in the world. It's going to be Tito Ortiz or Royce Gracie.
It's got to be Tito. Yeah, especially if we're the same age.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, got to be. Yeah, Royce was amazing. I still don't think that the Gracies get enough credit for what they were able to bring to the United States for us all to be able to enjoy now. So much respect to him. But yeah, Tito is one I've always thought, like, he's just 10 years or just even 10 years younger. I just think, I think the world of Tito. I think at that time, pound for pound, he was the best fighter in the world. Mm-hmm. And I just met him at the wrong time in my career. Because I truly believe that could have been awesome rivalry.
Totally.
Yeah.
Father time.
Yep.
All right. I have a question from the crowd. Who would you rather face in a one-on-one basketball game, The Undertaker or Kane?
I would probably say The Undertaker, because I think Kane is bigger, isn't he?
He's a little bit bigger. Yeah, he's like an inch or two taller.
I think he's a little more evil too. So yeah, I go with the nice guy.
Yeah. If you look back on all the pro wrestlers, who do you think came across as the most evil? Who tried to make evil their persona and really like nailed it?
Yeah, that one I can't answer because I didn't really, pay close enough attention. But I would, if the only thing that sticks in my head is Kane, right? I mean, just the way that he would come out, he wouldn't talk. He's a big, massive man, and he moved well. So I would say that's the one that sticks in my mind. Now, there might have been others that were better, but that's the one that actually sticks in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to lift someone up in the ring, who was the most difficult to grab and get up into the air?
Well, I would say that, the ones I don't know, because I've never tried it, would be like a Big Show.
The Big Show.
Just a big man. Andre the Giant, guys like that. You just don't even try, right?
Yeah.
But I would say guys that I'd actually done it, but because I was so strong, I really didn't. I mean, I just did it, but I could feel the weight. Was Van Vader when I was able to work with him. Just a massive man, but more than that, people look at him and they just see this big guy, but he was solid. Like, even though he had that round figure and he was big like that, he was solid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he actually weighed more than even though he looked heavy, but he weighed even more than that.
Wow.
Because I think he had a lot of muscle under there.
Real dense.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask this one.
Yeah.
Ken Shamrock, most dangerous man in the world. You have a fight coming up on Friday night, and you get to pick your opponent. Is it Vince McMahon or Dana White?
Wow, that's hard because I don't look at it like that. So,
Yeah.
like, how do I look at doing that to my people that I worked for? Like, I don't. Yeah, it's hard. I don't think I could pick.
Who would you rather play in a basketball match?
I would probably say the easier one is Vince. Yeah, if we're going, I'll take the older guy.
All right.
Hey guys, Matt here. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you for watching the Austin and Matt podcast. We just got our Spotify Wrapped for Creators back, and we found out that we are in the top 2% for all brand new shows. And I was floored when I saw that. Like, you never know. I love all the people that we've been talking to, but there's so many highs and lows that it's very hard to know how to benchmark yourself. And so to have Spotify kind of give us that objective data was just very encouraging. And, I love talking about spirituality and aliens and psychedelics and AI and economics and brain organoids for compute, but you never know if other people enjoy hearing about it. So it was very encouraging to see that statistic. We also found out that we're in the top 5% for all YouTube channels. And so, we're not even a year into this yet. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It really helps organically, especially at our stage, to let the algorithm know that you enjoy it. But only listen if you like it. Like, if we don't have good conversations, don't listen to it. It's up to us to maintain that level of interest. So I'm going to keep chasing curiosity. Austin's going to keep chasing curiosity. And if you want to come along with us for the ride, let's go. We got a lot of really cool ideas for 2026, some new things that we don't think anybody's ever done. And we got some really cool guests coming. So thank you again. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you on the next show.
All right, roger that. Cool. I think we should go into the maxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I remember watching you when I was 10, 11, and 12 when I was a wrestler and in the early days of the UFC. And you, in my brain, what always sticks out is the size of your back and shoulders. And you just had like this V of lats. And it was really
Greek
incredible.
proportions.
Of Greek proportions. And I was always wondering, what was your max, what was the max amount of pull-ups you've ever done?
Oh, well, this is when I was in the Marine Corps boot camp. There was a 30-second pull-up thing, and I believe it was 42. I don't remember what it was, but it was. I remember it being the most
42
at that time
in 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Could you have kept going?
Yes.
So the time stopped you.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you ever go beyond that? Do you think you ever did more than 42 pull-ups in one go?
I mean, in one day, I'm almost sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was strong. Like I said, I was really, I was doing 1,000 squats, 500 squats, 100 push-ups, and that easy. Like that's not struggling, right? My bench press was 605. Okay. So I was really strong. I mean, in fact, in high school, I know it doesn't seem like much after the 605 thing, but I weighed 160 pounds and I benched 320 in high school at 17. So I was always had this natural strength about me. So I was able to do quite a lot, especially with my body frame, whereas I had long arms. Even though I had thick chest, thick body, my arms were long. So it's not like most bench press guys where they go down there and it's like, 3 inches.
Yeah, it makes it harder to have longer arms.
It was a lot more to go. So I was gifted being strong. I could squat a whole lot.
How much could you squat?
I mean, I've had 1,000 pounds, not on a bar, but on a leg press.
Okay.
On a squat, probably, I would say 750 at one time, but I probably could have done more. I was, like I said, I was just freakishly strong.
You were, and what was the weight regimen back then? Was it more of like low reps, high weight, high reps, low weight? Were you doing
back
both?
then I was looking for the power because I was already getting cardio.
Yeah.
Right. So, for me, it was getting stronger. Obviously, this is, you're talking in 89, 90, 91. Things changed with all these different ways of training, which is smarter, right? Because of the explosiveness in the actual fights now, whereas you got to be in tremendous shape to be able to explode like that for 5 minutes and then rest for a minute and then go do it again. So I changed my program completely to where we're doing 20, 30 reps on all the stuff because you didn't, in the way I was built, I had the round muscle full of water. So going into a fight, that could cause you to blow up. So I had to change the way halfway through my career on how I was training because strength was really working for me in the beginning because there wasn't a whole lot of technique. But as soon as that technique started to get really good, it became a problem for me and people were lasting longer. So then I had to change my regimen to where the muscles that I had that were, the round kind of muscles would be able to last that long and not blow up and get numb.
Did you have any recovery practices like ice baths or what kind of stretching did you do?
I did I forget what it's called, but I used to go into this box and then they would
Pressurize it?
No, it was coldness.
Oh.
And it would literally bring it down to freezing or whatever it was, temperatures, and you'd sit in there and it would just freeze your body. And I used to do that quite a bit, and it was good for inflammation and being able to help you recover quicker.
And now you're doing bare knuckle boxing, and you're starting a bare knuckle boxing league, right?
We're in this ring right now. It says we have the Lion's Den returns on all four corners.
Yeah, baby.
What's going on? What's going on here?
Lion's Den is returning. Yeah, you heard it right. We're going to be doing a show. It's on ASE, and we're bringing back the old school way of training in the Lion's Den. I think it's just, the way that I used to, bring fighters in where we do tryouts. They had to go through an 8-hour grueling test. And it had nothing to do with whether or not they were great fighters. It had to do with mental toughness and mental strength. I mean, that's all I wanted to know. I didn't want to know anything else because if they passed it, I knew for a fact that I could teach them the techniques, that I could teach them the skills to win. But the one thing that you can't really, even though I think you can push the lines of that mental toughness that they already have, but if they don't have that, where they're not willing mentally or not willing to put them in tough situations. For instance, you get a guy coming in and he comes in and he's strong and he's athletic, he's in good shape, and it's natural. And he's going in there and he's able to beat everybody just naturally. Well, then you bring that guy in without ever having to test his mental toughness. You bring him in and you start training him, you're working with him, and you're doing the regular training, and he's winning all his fights. And so he gets to a point to where now all of a sudden he's a contender. And now all the fights now are with everybody that had natural ability. Mm-hmm. But the difference is those ones that had natural ability had people that put him in tough situations, which, like, for instance, putting him in the ring and having him go with the guy every 1 minute, you got a fresh guy coming in on you for 10 minutes. Or making them run and sprint or, do 500 squats is what we did and just burn their legs out, make them do 200 push-ups, burning their upper
500
body.
squats.
What's that?
500 squats.
500 squats.
Body
Weight?
weight.
Body weight.
In a row?
In a row.
0
In
to
a row.
500. Don't stop.
That's right. I mean, obviously they're going to get tired and stop for a minute, and you get on them and they go again, right? So you put them in that point, and then after you get done working them out like that for 6, 7 hours, and then you tell them to go there and fight a fresh guy, a pro, and that pro beats them up in MMA, just constantly, boom, 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 and they fall down and they get back up and boom, boom, and fall down. At what point does the guy quit?
When do you break them?
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm putting these guys in a position that they've never been in before to be able to understand what their mental toughness is and help them understand what it is and if they do have that. Because there's a lot of people, and even guys that can fight, that I have seen, and you guys have seen it too, where you see a guy go in there and he doesn't show up. He goes in there and you're like, where was that guy I saw there? It's because at some point, every one of those guys who have that ability naturally are going to get in there with somebody that has the same kind of blessing, but they put the work in. And that's where you see the fall off. That's what I don't want to have happen. When we bring people in, I want to test them from day one, because if I know that they've got the ability to stick it out and they've got the mental toughness to do it, I can train them.
What do you attribute your mental toughness towards? Because you were well known for cardio in the octagon, and obviously it was due to training, but that seems to be due to your mental toughness. So where did you find your mental toughness, and where do you credit that?
Yeah, I would say the way that my life first started, right? I mean, I came up, I didn't have a home, obviously. I was in a group home. I got adopted. I think most people know that. But I started out at 10 years old, and, prior to that, it was rough. I was running around on the street quite a bit, even under the age of 10. I was still running around and doing things I shouldn't have been doing. I had really no parents around to raise me. At 10 years old, I ran away. I was living in a car, ended up getting into some scraps and fights, ripping off stores, ripping people off, just making a living, and ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd. Was behind 7-Eleven, got into a scrap with a bunch of other kids. And again, this is at 10 years old. Got stabbed.
Do you remember what the scrap was about?
No, because
Yeah.
it was.
How did that
You didn't
happen?
have to have a scrap in those days, right? It was just like somebody walked into your area, you know what's going on.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
that's it.
like,
That's all.
yeah,
It's about
you're
nothing.
looking for it, right?
You're
It's
looking
like,
for
you're not looking for just to be sitting around and hang out with one another. It's always you're looking for trouble, and we found it. And one thing led to another, and I had a knife stuck in my arm. A guy tried to stab me, and he was going for my neck. I put my arm up, and stuck me with this lock blade. Stuck me in the arm, and once everybody realized what had happened, everybody took off. And so I remember walking around to the front of the store and going in, and I was kind of dizzy at this time because blood was coming out. And I remember I said, "Hey, I think I got stabbed." And
There's a knife in your
pulled
arm.
my arm, pulled the knife out of my arm, and then blood just spurted out. And then I ended up in a hospital. And so it just kind of gives you an idea of what kind of kid I was at a young age, and some of my surroundings and what I was growing up under. Right? I don't think that me and my spirit and my person that I am deep down was that way. I believe that that's just the circumstances in which I was living in, and it was a way for me to survive, and I just went with the flow. And so ending up in the hospital, and then obviously I woke up handcuffed to the hospital bed, I started my journey down the placement, juvenile placement, and into different group homes, and failed a lot of those homes you go into. I just think back now, I was like, how in the world they ever get licensed? I mean, these people were horrible. And so you run away from there, and you get caught, and you get locked up again. And then I ended up at Shamrock Boys Home at 13 years old, after going through 3 years of constant in and out of different homes and stuff, and failures. And my mindset was pretty much survival. Like, I did what I did, and the things I did because I needed to survive, and my thought process of how I was surviving. And so I ended up there, and that was incredible, because all the other homes I went to, it's like you talked earlier about the smell of piss and holes in the wall and everything is dirty and it's just grungy and you're just nasty. To us, it was normal though. I walked into it. It was a bed, right? It was people I kind of related to. The place, kind of the home I kind of grew up. This is no big deal. It's the same. But you walk into those places and you realize, man, this place is just, especially now, you look at it and say, wow, how did they ever get licensed? But I ended up Shamrock Boys home, and that was where I walked in, and I remember looking at the home when we pulled up, because I was with 2 other kids from Napa. And I looked at the house, and they pulled into it, and I was like, man, we lost? Like, because this was in a country place. We were from Napa, and now also we're in the mountains in Susanville. And I pull into this place, got a big old flagpole. It's got this Corvette in the front yard. It's got this nice vehicle. It's actually a Cadillac, and there's some vans and stuff. And it's got this big, huge mansion. I mean, it was a mansion. And we're like, hey, something's like, this is not right, right? He said, no, this is it. And I was like, all of a sudden, and most people, they're thinking, boy, you got it made. In my mind, I was like, I don't belong here. Like, I was afraid of it. I was like, that's expectation. Right. I didn't know that, right? I couldn't put that as a kid, but I'm looking at him going, yeah, I can't do that. Like, I don't belong here. So we were walking up, and there's a big oak door, and my dad answers the door, and he owned the home. Like, he had kids in there. There was 18 boys there. And I started to learn then, right? It went real quickly.
It's nice to have so many other boys around because it helps you assimilate a little bit more. It's like you kind of just start picking up context clues of even just where does my stuff go, when is dinner, when is even just the normal day-to-day, every second, after every minute, after every hour. At least that helps you kind of dive in.
Well, what it does though is because, like I said, when you first walk in, which was I was getting to that, was when you walk in and you see this house and this mansion, you're uncomfortable. Like, you just realize I don't know how to talk to these people.
It's
but
like
then
upper
you see
crust.
all those kids, and I know a lot of them because they're from Napa, and I'm like, they're all running around and playing, and so all the now you're like, all right, like,
I guess
all right, if
playing.
they're doing good, like, there's a connection here, right? There's a pool table, there's video games. I kid you not, this is like, it was unbelievable, and there's big piano, white grand piano. My mom now played the piano and sang, and walking into the hallway, there's a 18-foot oak table with big cast iron chairs and pewter goblets and pewter plates, 18 seats, and then there was a little small table on the side for the counselors, which I didn't know at the time, but all of that stuff's in there, and I'm like, what is this? Yeah. And he brings us to this bar where there's a bar there, and it's behind it. There's like sodas and different things, and there's nuts, and there's M&Ms, and there's different things. And I'm just like, what? So I don't want to go through the whole story, but to make the long story short, is here I was walking into this thing. I'd already gone through all these things as a kid, and now I'm into a situation where things could change for me. But if it wasn't for Bob Shamrock, and him to truly understand going to these other homes, they had no clue. But he understood that there had to be a reason for these things happening to us, the kids. Like, and how do you address that rather than just having them do their time and sending them back into the same situation? And he was the only one that I have, not ever, but I would say that through my lifetime, that got it and understood what it was for these kids to be able to have to change. And it was environment. And it was literally helping them understand that now you have to take your own life in your own hands, because you're not going to be able to go back to that situation. Even though you may love your mom and dad, which I didn't have one, but a lot of those kids did. But they can't go back there because they got the same friends and the same environment and all the same problems. You have to take your life in your own hands and build your own life wherever you want to build it. It could be here. When you get out, you go get a job, start working, build your life. And so it helped me understand that.
The paradox between building your own life but also having someone give you a life that you didn't pick. There's a paradox there, right?
Right. And there's anger.
Yeah.
The anger, and that's part of taking control of your own life and understanding what it is you have to do. And as kids, we don't know that. So you got to have somebody that knows how to find the things that are going to help you heal. It's talking for one, always communication, always talking and allowing people at their own time to be able to express themselves and to be able to talk about things. And it's got to be on their own time, right? You can't force that. And the only way that happens is by just opening the door for communication.
Did they have a lot of, I mean, this is in the 70s, right?
No, this is,
Or you said
79, 80, 81. 82, I graduated. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know, I feel like childhood development and all of these things, we've learned a lot in the last 30, 40 years. And for them, you're saying they had an open environment where communication was welcome and expressing yourself was welcome. That feels actually very different and unique in 1980 that maybe a lot of households weren't having if you got to have that experience.
Well, first of all, and again, I'm not saying all of them because there are good ones out there, but the majority of them don't want to hear, don't want to know, don't care. Because most of them are messed up themselves. The ones that were running the homes, they have their own issues, right? They don't want to hear anybody else's. They're there just to do a job, and we've come a long ways, obviously, in the group home things now. It's a long ways. There's a lot more awareness of how to deal with those things. But my dad was way ahead of the curve when it came to that, because he would force communication. Not force you to talk about your problems, but force communication by engaging with you constantly about just anything. But he also understood, and knowing what type of kid you were by reading your file and where you came from and the things that you went through. And then he would literally do things to help you express yourself. For instance, whether you're an artist or somebody that was more introvert, I was more outward, physical, angry, frustrated. So for me, it was, football, wrestling. He got me into that. He said, "You want to play football?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Well, and I experienced that, and I didn't know it at the time, but I excelled because I wanted to hit people. I didn't care. I just wanted it. I didn't care if the ball was going that way. If the guy was there, I'm hitting him. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted that contact. But the real reason is because I needed that frustration and that hate, and I needed it to go somewhere. And so I chose sports. There's a lot of other people, they're more introvert and that can't relate to what I do. They think it's horrible, right? Because they're more introvert and they're more loving and caring, but they're the ones that are cutting themselves and doing drugs and doing all that stuff because they can't express themselves. So I remember my mom one time, and I watched it happen, where there was this kid, and he was at school, and he drew this picture, and he had all these heads cut off, and a guy standing on top of the bodies, and blood was pouring out of the heads. And great artist, it was very good. Yeah. And he got suspended, he got kicked out of school, right? And it was good. So in his mind, he's expressing himself, yeah. Right? But at the same time, there was talent there, and nobody noticed it. They weren't looking at what that talent was, not the actual picture itself, but what the actual clarity of how he drew it. And I remember my mom saw that, and she said, she said, the technique in that drawing is, I don't remember the exact words she used, but that it's very good. It's and he's like, he's thinking she's trying to play him, because we all know the bullshit, right? Yeah. We all know when it's coming. So, but it wasn't, because she was like, "That's really good." And then I remember her engaging with him in that and allowing him. She said, even though we had to deal with this stuff at the school, she allowed him. She says, "I will let you draw anything that you want for a half hour. But for the other half hour, I want you to do your work. Do your homework, do your grades, make sure you keep things going, and then you can have your moments to draw," which was what she was doing, was giving him a place to release his inner thoughts onto paper, right? And without him knowing that she's actually trying to help you, and he's like, he can't do it anywhere else, and she's allowing him to draw whatever you want. And he drew some really bad stuff to try to shock her. It didn't work. She knew what he was doing. And so after a while, he started engaging and started talking, because now he felt like she was in his circle, right?
She was safe, yeah.
But then once she got to that point, you know, we had built this new addition, and we called it the bunkhouse. Built a new addition onto the house where we were adding 8 more beds. And so they were going out there and they were getting ready to build it. And my mom said, she came up, she goes, do you want to draw our addition onto the house? And he's like, he says, yeah, we're going to put it out here. We're going to add 8 more beds. We want to put it on the side here. Can you draw? You think you can draw something? He goes, yeah. So he gets down there and he draws this addition to the bunkhouse. And it was, I mean, again, like I said, the kid had talent, right? Yeah. And he drew it, man. It was awesome. But her whole point was like, that's good. She says, so how do you get that? And he's like, what do you mean? Well, like, if you were to build it, how do you get there? Like, you drew the picture, but how do you actually build it? He goes, I don't know. It's like, how big is it? What's the square footage? He's like, I don't know. He goes, you want to know? You want to learn? He goes, sure. Like, you know, I mean, like, that's yeah. Awesome. So she said, well, I want you to go over here and I want you to kind of sit with this guy who's actually drawing all, you know, how those specs. I don't even know that stuff. Yeah. Well, your measurements and your space and all that other stuff that goes with it. He literally joined in on that. And I don't know what he's doing now, but at least I think it was probably 10 or 15 years ago where I believe that he reached out and that he's literally doing exactly what those guys were doing. Like, I think he went to architect. Like I said, I don't know the terminology of it and all that. But he literally went out and started doing that because it's kind of like the talent that I had when I was on the street. I was beating people up. I wasn't getting paid for it, right? I had talent. I could play football. I went and played college, got a chance to go to play pro. I mean, all that stuff. I had that, right? But I was using it in the wrong way. All it needed was someone to show me how to use it and how to vent the anger and frustration I had at the world into something positive. And that was the same thing for this kid, but he was completely different than me. Whereas he wasn't angry and violent like that, but he was angry, and in his soul he was violent, and he needed to express that like I did physically. He could do it architecturally.
So I want to go back to this idea of the grit, because I think some people have been through similar situations that you've been in and they didn't have that grit. And so there must be something else inside of you. Maybe it was the anger. Do you think it was the anger that actually, that moment, right? We've all been there if you've been an athlete or whatever, where you get to the point of you want to quit and something in you says no. What is it? Is it innate? Is it learned? What do you think happened inside of you when you analyze this grit that got you to where you got to?
Yeah, I think that's hard to determine. I think with anyone, I don't, and again, I don't want to, because I don't know the answer to that, because I can't say that it's something that's just built into you. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
Right. But I do believe that it was there, because every time that I got to a point, I mean, I went, 46 minutes with Funaki over in Japan.
Yeah.
Right. And
you can just bite your teeth and keep going.
I shut it off. I don't know what that is. But at some point, it's like I don't acknowledge time. Like, it's not something I'm acknowledging. The only thing I acknowledge is trying to finish what I started. Like, I'm in there and I'm there to do something and I can't get it done. And I've got to keep trying to get it done. And I'm not going to think about whether I can or can't. And I say this to people to try to help them understand when they're going into something. So there's two kinds, and there's more than that, but in this situation, there's two kinds of people, right? When someone asks you, hey, I want you to do 1,000 squats, first thing that comes to mind to everyone that is there, there's two things. One person's going to go laugh at you and go, oh man, you can't do that. Or the other person is immediately going to start thinking about a solution. How does it work? How am I going to do it? Like, it's not whether or not it's impossible, but how do I do that? Like, let me analyze this for a minute so I can figure out how I'm going to do it. As opposed to someone saying immediately, there's a wall up, it can't happen. And I'm the other, whereas like someone says something, and that depends on what it is, because some things I'll say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But there are some things where someone says that, I'll find a way.
Something I've always wondered for a fighter, the adage, like, sometimes it's better to work smart than it is to work hard. What's the difference when you're becoming a fighter? Because it seems to me it's all hard work, but there's got to be a way to make the hard work into smarter hard work. What does that look like?
I don't think I don't believe that. Smarter and harder. I don't think you separate the two. I just don't. I do believe that you break it apart, then it becomes a problem, right? But yeah, I think that you've got to work hard. You have to put, and again, we just talked about it. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations in order for you to know what your limit is. If you don't know what your limit is and you find out in a fight, it may not be good for you, right? I used to go into places because like I said, I did have natural ability, and I would literally just be good and just go in there and start rolling. I remember the first time I did a tryout, I destroyed everybody at Malenko's wrestling school, and those guys were already going over to Japan and working with these guys, and I beat them all up. And it wasn't until I went to Japan where they brought me in after Malenko said, hey, you know, and I met Sammy Saranaka, who was the booker, brought me over there for a tryout. And that was the first time, and that's how I came up with what I do. I changed it a little bit because you get sued now. But when I went, they beat the heck out of me. I mean, I'd never been there. But I went through 4 guys. And each guy, I went with 20 to 30 minutes. And I just got off a plane. They picked me up from the airport, drove straight to the dojo, and told me to put my gear on. Now, that was on purpose. That's where I get all of this stuff from, is because being comfortable is easy. But being uncomfortable constantly, to be able to put yourself in that position over and over again, makes you comfortable. Then you get comfortable. But you can't do it unless you put yourself in uncomfortable positions. Being good at something and not being tested isn't good for you. You have to put yourself, especially in training, you don't want to find out in a competition or in a game. You want to do it in training. And that's the point for the Lion's Den stuff that we do. It isn't about how good you are. It isn't about, well, hey, maybe you are a great fighter right now, but that's not what I'm looking for in these types of events that we're doing, these training sessions. I'm looking for that mental toughness, someone that will be willing to learn. Either one, not to quit, or if they already have that, learn to push that line even farther.
So this is an athlete kind of development program, and then if they pass, do they already have coaches and stuff? Are they training around, and then do they go back and keep going and kind of get the Shamrock seal of approval, tough grit sort of thing, or do they partner with you now? What's sort of the outlook after this goes out?
Well, there's opportunities, and then eventually it'll probably go down to where we'll end up managing. But this first one, this trial one, we're not looking to take anybody away from anyone.
Sure.
Right? We want them to come here and have the freedom to have whoever they want to work with them. But what we want to do is be able to set the agenda and I guess the culture of what we're doing, so that when people come here, they understand this is a place to find out whether or not this is what you really want to do. And I'll find out 5 years down the road when you get into that contending spot and you find out that you don't have what it takes, or you didn't train to find out whether or not you had what it took.
This is kind of like that boot camp or maybe a Hell Week sort of moment where you find out if you can make it through. It's not exactly about technique. It's more about grit and heart.
It's all about finding out where that point is for you, and then we want to be able to push it farther.
For bare knuckle boxing, what kind of conditioning? If someone were out there thinking about getting into bare knuckle, it's a little different than MMA in the sense that it's not quite as dynamic, but it's still going to be very explosive. What sorts of recommendations would you make for someone trying to get in?
Well, I think I don't care what sport or event it is, you got to get people around you that are going to put you in the best position to succeed, right? This is just never going to change, but you're always going to have people that are just going to be there for the moment. And, for an example, back in the day when we did the Lions and tryouts, I was the only thing in town, right? It was, I'd get you in Pancrase, I'd get you in the UFC. People would go through these tryouts and they would just, give everything they got to do it. And even then, only 12 people passed in 10 years. So it was that tough. Nowadays, it's money. Numbers, it seems like money, and it always does, and it should, but not in this sense, whereas that you grab people and you get them and you work with them and then you put them out to fight, but not really trying to train them to be able to go as far as they can, right? You're there and then they're on their own to do that, right? So that's what this is, we're trying to do, is to be able to give guys the opportunity to be able to put themselves in a position right off the bat to know if this is what they want to do. Because if you're not willing to go this hard, whereas somebody pushing you past what your normal limitations are, then how do you expect to get to the level you want to get to make a living at it? Because that's what you're going to have to do to get there.
Wow. It seems to me your parents really instilled a lot of like good values, just some good like gritty values. What was your mom's name?
Dee Dee.
Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out the motivation of why Bob and Dee Dee opened a home for boys?
Yeah, I don't know if it was their motivation, but I think maybe it was one of them was that they couldn't get pregnant, right? So I think that the nature of both of them was they were just people that wanted to. Well, and he drove a bus. I think it was Anza, California, where he drove a bus for kids.
Like a school bus.
School bus.
Oh, okay.
So he was always good with kids and felt like he could do something. They had which was crazy because they had a very successful horse ranch for Arabian horses. And so they went from that to raising boys. And there was 18 to 22 kids in their home at a time. That's a lot. And they were and again, I can't, obviously I'm just saying this, but they were the most successful group home. To my knowledge at that time, they had an 80% success rate. That's just phenomenal, unheard of. Because every kid that went there, they weren't just a number, they weren't just a paycheck. They literally would read the files and build a relationship with each kid. My mom was more the, the introvert. She dealt with kids that were more musical or, more talented in that sense. And then my dad was more the physical, And so it was really a great balance for the type of kids that were coming in there, for them to be able to reach into them and be able to help them physically, mentally, be able to vent their frustrations and angers and thoughts into things that didn't get them in trouble. Well, what's supposed to get them in trouble, like drawing a picture and gets suspended. You're like, okay, I get it. But maybe just talk to the kid. Don't go all wild on him and show the people, this kid's sick. He needs to be on Redland. It's just like, hey, why would we just talk to him?
Such an interesting perspective.
I have a question while you're in the WWE. I know that you and Bret Hart were pretty close, or he helped kind of take you. He was sort of one of your entry points in. I was always wondering backstage when you guys are traveling together or going to different events. Who do you think was everybody social? Was everybody hanging out? Was everybody kind of their own island because they're all big superstars? Like from your experience of traveling around the world and you're in the mix. You're one of them. What was the attitude like for all the wrestlers traveling around doing these shows and everything?
I think it was no different than going to work. It
was a job.
It really is. You're going there, and you're in a work environment, and you need to be able to work with everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So there you have to be able to at least try to understand who everyone is. Have at least an open communication with everyone.
How do you do that?
I think it's for me. It was basically just going to them and saying, "Hey, how's it going, man? Appreciate you guys." Because I was the new guy.
Eat lunch together?
No.
No. What do you?
No.
How do you? There's no office building. How do you? Have water cooler talk inside the WWE?
It's really in the locker room when you get there. You've got hours before the show goes off, and so there's opportunities where you can go eat, but most of the time nobody's really sitting at tables and all talking. It's more like through hallways and, sometimes going in and warming up or just sitting in the chairs. There's opportunity all the time to be able to engage with people. And especially when you're actually working with them, or they're involved somehow, with your match.
Yeah.
So that's usually where I tried to develop the communication, was whenever I would come around, because you're always working with somebody different. Especially when I came in, I was always going with someone different all the time. Never really ran a program except with The Rock. So I was working with different people. So I had a great opportunity to be able to open up a dialogue with these guys, to be able to try to let them get to know me and me get to know them, because wrestling, you really do have to trust one another.
Oh yeah.
So you don't want to just not. They'll say you guys talk about your match and then you're apart. So it was a really good chance to get to know. And the great thing about it is that I don't know what people were like outside of wrestling, but I know with me being in wrestling and being around that world and being in the locker room, there was just a lot of really good people that wanted to do the best job, just wanted to make sure they had a great match.
When you were in the WWE, was there anybody who was kind of unanimously, or was there any guys that were unanimously known as cordial and friendly? Everybody loved this guy. Is there any of those guys that kind of the group kind of just...
Owen Hart.
Owen.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you knew Owen.
Yeah, Owen Hart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's so easy to talk to. He's always messing around. He's fun to be around. He's just a really easy guy.
Okay.
He's not intimidating. He has the personality that allows you to approach him. Like, he's just so easy to approach. So I would say him. I would say probably the one that most people, if you didn't know him, would have a hard time getting to know him, because just the way that he's not doing it on purpose, but he just has that stone face, and he doesn't smile a whole lot. And so a lot of people would just immediately, all right, I'll just walk this way. It's Steve Blackman.
Oh yeah.
He's like, and he's not a bad guy when you get to know him.
Right.
I drove with him, I worked with him. He's a really good guy. But he just, like, the way he would just sit there, he didn't smile much, and he didn't really talk a whole lot. So I think most people, if you didn't know him, you were like, yeah, this guy don't look too friendly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Were you around during the accident with Owen?
Yes, I was on deck.
You were on deck. I remember I was watching the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I remember when it cut off and it all went black and we didn't know what happened, and it went black for like a minute or two, and then it came on and Jerry Lawler said there was an accident.
Yeah.
And that was like so devastating.
Dude, I don't even think people realize how long it took for people to believe it was real.
We didn't know.
Right.
We didn't know. I remember. I'm like 13 or 14, and we've been watching the WWF for way too long, way too early, and we didn't know. We didn't know if it was real or, I mean, Jerry Lawler was as serious as he could be, but we're like, is this a fake out? Is this we didn't know.
Right.
It's hard to convey when you're in the middle of an entertainment business that we've seen.
Was it the same for some of the fighters?
It was worse for us because everything's a work. Everything. And this was something nobody knew anything about. And then understanding how this was supposed to work, there's no way that happens. Like, there's no way. There's just no way. That doesn't happen.
Right.
There's no way they're going to let somebody go up there and do what he did. There's no way that can happen. Like, that just can't happen. So in your mind, you're like, okay, what's
the catch?
What's happening? And we saw it, right? We saw it, and still in our heads we're like, we can't wrap our head around this. We saw him come out in the gurney. It looked fake.
I've seen a lot of gurneys.
Fake.
Yeah,
and because there wasn't blood, there was nothing abnormal. He was just there. And you're like, something's up here. And the way that it was handled made us think it wasn't real, because how are you going on?
The show must go on. It kept going. That was why we didn't think it was real. 'Cause they had the next match or whatever, and it was like, wait,
Is this normal? Like, hold up. You're telling us this, but you're doing this.
yeah,
It just doesn't line up. It was months. Now, for us, it was sooner than that, because
Sure.
we were inside, and we realized, very quickly that this wasn't a gimmick. But for fan base, even to this day, some people can't connect.
right.
I personally think, because the show went on, that it really took a lot longer for people to accept it,
Absolutely.
because you're always waiting for the appearance, which made it worse. So my heart just broke for the family, because they've been in the business their whole life.
Forever.
And they're going, even though they know, because he's not home, they know, but even in their mind, they're like, it's not real. Even though, even if it happened and they weren't in wrestling, you still don't want to accept it, right? They have an actual idea and world in which they can live in and not accept it, because it's wrestling. Like, yeah, this is not real. Like, so it really did string it out for a long time before it even became real.
Did questions of faith start to enter into conversations with you guys, or are you a man of faith?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so did that start to enter the conversation more? People just talking about their faiths and.
Yeah, but you have to be careful on that, right? Because I think you can go ahead and pray, and you can express yourself in that way. But I think when you start moving there like that, I don't know what the hearts are. I don't know what close friends and family members are. So that's hard to do. So that's why I think in that time you're just basically doing it on your own. There were people that did come together and prayed, right? But that one was hard too, because even in the media or things like that, you're kind of like don't want to cross lines. You don't want to insult anybody, because you don't know what their beliefs are. So I was very careful on that one. Although me personally praying for him and others praying for him I thought was great. But like I said, in that setting, it's not about grandstanding and
Right.
showing that you're praying. It's a personal relationship that you have, that you are at that moment are dealing with God yourself. And so it doesn't matter what everything else is going on. That's why I said in that moment, they can do it. They can bring that to the public. But to us and people that are believers, that was between us and God. Like, we don't need to try to force that on anybody else.
Did you ever feel like when you were fighting that having a faith in God was sort of a superpower? How much energy do you draw from faith when you're fighting?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a great question, because I struggled at one point with that, and it was because I wasn't necessarily called out, but it was brought up, and I didn't know how to answer it. And I remember a pastor talking about fighting, not necessarily what I was doing or boxing like that, but just fighting, and how that was a sin. You're not supposed to hurt your brothers and sisters. I was like, whoa, hold up.
You don't mean physically, right?
Hold up. What's going on here? It's like, I struggled with that. And I remember asking, because I do ministry and I do my motivational speaking and different things. And I remember asking a pastor one time, because I was like, I can't believe I've been given this gift only for it to not be accepted. And so I remember asking a pastor one time, and I said, man, this is me. It's like, and he goes, well, he said, what is your thought process? Like, what is it that you're thinking? And I remember saying, you know, for me, it's everything. Like, man, this is how I'm going to be relevant. He says, guy standing across from me is taking food off my table. He's taking clothes off my kid's back. I said, taking away my opportunity to be relevant, to be successful. I'm going to hurt him. I'm going to destroy him. He just looked at me all empty-eyed like, I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can fix you. So he looks at me, he goes, well, see, that's a sin. And immediately I'm like, oh my gosh. He goes, but if your mind and your thoughts would change, he says, if the way that you approach the fight was different, I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty easy.
Yeah. You want me to love the guy I'm punching?
He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, he says, how come you just don't focus on winning? Like, or focus on whatever it is that you do? Why does it have to be focused on him? And I was like, I thought to myself, he says, you can't hate somebody that much. You can't let your heart and your mind go there, where you're thinking things like that, because sooner or later you'll become that. And I keep thinking, I'm like, well, what do you like? And he says, focus on your opponent and what he does good, what he does bad. Focus on your training. You know, and he didn't get into specifics. I had to figure it out. Like, I couldn't go in there, and I could have the aggression and go in there and want to, instead of the words killing him or hurting him or destroying him, to beat him, to tap him out, to knock him out. Just those words, even though those things sound almost the same, they're
It's a little different.
right? Mm-hmm. So I had to come at my fight much differently, which made me a better fighter, because now I was looking at more of the technical part of it. I was looking at, okay, this guy, he's not in very good shape. He can't go more than 3 rounds before he starts getting tired. Or like he's weak on his leg kicks, or that he drops his right hand. You start focusing on the technical stuff and figuring out how to go in there and break him down and beat him, rather than me going in there and ripping his heart out. It's the same action. I'm literally with the same intensity, the same motivation with the fight, but my terminology and my wording and my thought process isn't about going in and hurting and destroying somebody's life. It's about going in there and breaking them down and beating them.
So you took that advice.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said earlier, a real fighter is someone who doesn't even consider failure. They just ask how. And so even when this pastor presents you with that new, it's more of a metaphorical, spiritual wall, you just said how. How do I get around it? And you found a different way to fight.
It's like I have this gift, and in my heart, in my mind, I knew that it wasn't wrong.
It was God-given.
There's no way I could be this way. It was a gift.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Clearly.
It can't be wrong.
Clearly.
Like, it just can't be wrong. And it wasn't. But it, just like with anything in life, you have to be able to be willing to find the answers. And they're not going to be simple. Like, sometimes they're going to be very difficult. And sometimes they're going to be simple like mine, where it was like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm not going to change my aggressiveness or the viciousness in the way that I go after somebody, but my mentally mindset and the way that I actually talk about it, because I am supposed to be a representative. And for me to go out and say, I'm going to kill this dude, that's not.
Represent the other side a little bit, yeah.
Well, and at the same time, I know I don't literally mean it, but it's just like, if I want to align it with political stuff that goes on, when you call somebody a Nazi over and over again, it's like you can't. You have to word it differently. We have to be responsible. Me have to be responsible for people watching me when I profess my faith. And so, and I wasn't really, and to be honest, I wasn't worried about what other people were thinking, but more about my soul, more about me feeling with the pastor saying that fighting is a sin. Like what? Like, I understood what he meant, right, in that moment, but it was still fighting, and I needed to figure out the difference. And I think that's one thing that I've always done, was that I've never been just ready to settle on what someone tells me, especially if I don't agree with it. I'm going to find an answer, and if that answer doesn't align, then I'll accept it. But I'm gonna always try to find something that's going to align with how I feel and what I believe.
Okay, here's a tough question. I want you to take it easier on yourself, because I think everyone can go too hard on themselves on this one. If we were to line all of your kids up, I think you have 7 kids.
Yeah.
And we were to ask them, what type of father is Ken Shamrock? What do you imagine they would say?
Again, because they're very, very, very different, and in different relationships with all of them. But I would definitely say that they would probably say that I'm not 20, 30 years ago, but I'm there. Like, I'm always around, especially now that I'm not fighting. I spend a lot of time with them and with my grandkids. But it's hard because I have different relationships, even though they're all my kids, but some are near, some are far, But it's skipping over the kids and the grandkids. They're always wanting to come to my house. They're always wanting to be around Papa. So I would like to think it's kind of the same thing with my kids, I will say that in my career, I did put my career first. That was focus and determination, desire, and nothing was going to get in the way of me succeeding. And my wife, Tanya, took care of the kids. She was a stay-at-home at that time. Now she works, and I'm home with them now. Now I do the cooking. I kid you not. I do laundry. I do dishes.
You good cook?
I do. Yes. I also smoke. I love smoking meat. I'm there. I'm there, and I'm supporting her the way she supported me. She would definitely tell you that I'm very much a family man, and that, well, how did she put it? That I would die for my family, that I would put myself in front of a truck to save my family. She would tell you that.
Well, I think what's amazing, because I have 3 kids also, and there's 2 ways that you can love, because I agree with I will jump in front of a truck for my family, but that sometimes actually feels easier than showing up every day. And so the fact that, you would both jump in front of a truck, but you're there and they all want it, and you're present, actually is pretty awesome, because sometimes that's harder actually to do, is to show up on a daily basis than jump in front of a truck.
It's called responsibilities. And, obviously the earlier in my career, I sacrificed the time with my kids. And they'll say that hurt, right? There was things that went on, obviously, in any family. But my wife was very solid, and she supported me 100%. And now the shoe's on the other foot, that she's staying at home, she's working, and that I'm there. Obviously, our kids are grown, but now we have, and this goes to show you that our grandkids, that they do love spending time with Papa, is that I have 2 of them that are in, one just graduated from high school, but one of them now is a junior, will be a senior next year. They're living with us.
Cool.
Like, they want to live with us because they get to go to a better school.
Yeah.
And Maylin, which is the older one, now she's out. She's going to a beauty school, and she's staying at our house, which we told her was probably wiser that you're closer, you know, and she wanted to come down and stay with us. And she can save money, not have to worry about paying rent or food or any of that stuff. So she's able to stay there and be able to go to her beauty school and get her license and do all those things and put money away. And Jaden is there, and I have quite a bit. The younger grandkids are always asking to come over and stay with us, you know. So we don't have that. We sold our 5-bedroom home, and we moved into a 3-bedroom, and we figured we were done raising kids. And they just keep coming back. And I don't mind. I love it. I do. We really do love it. But yeah, I sacrificed early on, but now I'm making up for it, right? You know, even though I don't see it as I did anything wrong, right? I just see it as I made a choice, and I made that choice before, you know, I started anything. And my wife came in, and she really made it work, because without her, it doesn't work. It can't work, right? She picked it up. So now I've been doing it now for 10 years, doing it. I've been doing that. So, and I loved it. I don't mind doing it. Like you say, you know, it's responsibilities on it, but I don't want to be raising kids, right? Especially, you know, 5 years old. I don't want to do that no more.
There's a time and place for it. It's not right now. Yeah.
But I'm, you know, I really enjoy having that time with them. So it's not like it's a chore for me. It's enjoyable. I love it. So, and I get to do it now. She didn't get to really, I mean, even though it was fine, we love our kids, but she did all the hard work, you know, the Pampers, the diapers, and, you know, the changing and all that stuff to get them where they were at, to where now I'm actually doing it, but I don't have to do that, even though I wouldn't have minded it. But like you said, it's a grind, doing it all the time, over and over again, staying patient, being where you need to be, making sure that the discipline is being done properly, and making sure that their values are aligning with yours. And then as they get older, like they are in high school and all that, you're allowing them to have their own thoughts and their own beliefs and their own way of doing things. And you have to allow for that to happen too.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, one of the things I was always wondering, because this kind of gets into like finances a little bit, because you were in the UFC a ton and then the WWF, and to me, you know, you guys are the superstars of the world. And how many of the wrestlers or fighters and wrestlers were having financial issues while this was all going on? I literally don't know. I was like 12 and 13. I just thought everybody was multi-millionaires because we're all watching you and all of these things. But I never knew how the business end worked, actually. And so both in the early days of the UFC and at your time in the WWE, like what would that look like as far as like on a broad, you know, for all the different people?
Yeah, I think everybody was different. The hard part when you become and everybody comes in differently, right? Some people come in and they've had a good life. The parents were well, they were good schools, you know, they come in and, you know, they start making their own money and they become successful. Not all the time, but most of the time, they're going to have the right people around them to make sure they make good financial decisions.
Yeah.
Then you get the other ones that come in that had good parents, but they weren't well off or financially strong, and they made bad decisions
or didn't have any financial literacy.
Exactly. And now all of a sudden this money comes in, and the first thing that most of these guys want to do is buy their mom a house.
Yeah.
They want to buy their mom a car, and, you know, and then, or their dad, and then all of a sudden the brothers and the sisters and the uncles, and then, you know, you want to make sure that you're carrying the old startup kit, you know, the car, watch, and chain, you know. So it gets a lot because you're not mature enough to understand the amount of money that you truly have.
Yeah.
Because you see a check come in and you're like, all right, but you don't realize that that's not yours. that is not all your money. That money, some of that money is going to be taken away. And especially being in the entertainment business, it's quite a chunk. that's going to be taken away, and you don't take that into account. And so you just go on your merry way, and no one's going, in a year, you're going to have to pay a lot of that back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, I do. Okay, well, I'll get it next time. And the next check comes in. And that there just accrued double because you had interest on top of it. And that thing now all of a sudden becomes double to where now you get a check and it's almost all gone, because if you pay that off, you ain't got nothing left, and you're already accustomed to a lifestyle that in the way that you're feeling is that you don't want to go downward, which is crazy to think that you're going to go down to what? Like you have to like only have one car and not have to wear a gold chain and a gold watch. There's a lot of misunderstanding and not being educated enough to know that it's not that much money.
Yeah, so it is very similar to other professional sports, because you hear about athletes all the time. And if you don't have any financial literacy, it definitely slips through the fingers very quickly because you don't understand a lot of things. And it's an education. I mean, and it makes sense if you're fighting all the time. When are you going to go learn about accounting and taxes and investing and hedge funds and, whatever? And so
everybody's got a great opportunity to invest in.
Yeah.
It's only 300,000, bro. It's easy. We're going to make triple that. Hey, where's my money? Oh, it didn't work out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember when I think there was a documentary about Jake the Snake that came out.
Yeah.
And he had such a hard time.
Yeah.
And I loved Jake the Snake. He was one of my sister's favorite wrestlers. And he brought out that python and everything. And we saw that documentary and it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was like, what? These guys aren't, again, I was very young when I was watching you guys, but it was kind of one of those moments that's like, oh, right. Like, what is the status here? But if y'all don't have financial advisors and, people helping you around.
Well, even if you get financial advisors, they rip you off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this about all of them, but I'm saying that is a big problem with agents or managers.
People flock to you. Yeah.
You trust them to make good decisions with your money because you don't have time to follow it, right? So you're expecting that to happen. And so, you trust them and you've been trusting them, and then someone comes to you and says, hey, this dude's ripping you off, and you're like, he wouldn't do that.
Wow.
Because you have built a bond with them. Mm-hmm. Like they're part of your family now. I know your wife, they know your kids, they know your mother and father. They've eaten dinner with you.
Yeah.
They're there. They wouldn't do that. And then when you go to check it out, you feel almost like embarrassed to do it.
Yeah.
But you do it, and then they show you something that you have absolutely zero concept of. No, bro, see these numbers match up. Look, it looks just like this. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right. If you try to bring someone else to come in, like another one to go, hey, can you look over his books? You're done. Like, you're done. You just, how do you explain it? I don't trust you. Well, wait a minute. You're managing my money. I should be trusting you. So it's a double-edged sword, right? And that's where a lot of them get caught up in is they don't really want to have the guts to go, listen, I'm going to have somebody watch over you or at least check it to make sure you're doing the right thing. I mean, that's hard to do, to say, I don't trust you. You're my account, but I don't trust you. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So it is. It's not easy sailing. And I think a big problem, too, with how the sports industry expresses so much interest in money, on how much people are getting paid. NFL is the worst at it, where they're just talking about how much, and you don't understand. Someone that's making that kind of money has got 100 people around them that are taking a chunk of that. So you look at it, it's a lot of money, but by the time they get done with doing all of that and paying taxes and bills and things that they owe, it starts to get down real fast. And especially when you get to that level of success, that in order for you, and again, I believe this is what a lot of people should be doing, is that you should have a lot of people around you that are trying to help you become a bigger brand. Different ways besides just what you're doing, whether it's investing in stocks, or whether it's investing in business or properties or homes, renting homes, just whatever it is to help you expand your brand. So when you're done playing, you have a business that's still bringing you in the same or more money.
Yeah, because I think a lot of athletes don't understand that it's going to end soon. Relatively speaking, in your life, hopefully you live to be 70, 80, 90 years old, and you're not going to be able to be a professional athlete then. And when you come out of that, what skill sets do you have? If you were to go back to the real world, not in professional sports, and so if your money earning capacity goes way down, it's not thinking ahead.
Right.
And yeah, that makes total sense.
But if you, again, like I said, there's a lot of double-edged swords there too, because you're supposed to trust people.
Oh,
you're bringing
yeah.
them in, and you're thinking that your money's safe, and then 10 years down the road, you're like, huh? Like, no way. And then when it gets to a point where you have to bring somebody in to check it out, it's too late.
It's all gone. I think the statistic, it's 85% of NFL players go bankrupt within 4 years of retiring.
Because
that's a lot. that's
because they have people, and again, this is not everyone, but majority of them have people around them that just say yes to them all the time instead of saying, bro, don't do that. Like, this is what's going to happen. These are numbers. This is what you have. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. This is what you got left. You can't do that. Like, if you do, you're going to be broke. And no one will say that. They just keep patting them on the back and saying, yeah, man, you're awesome.
Makes me grateful for things like ChatGPT, because now you could actually just throw all that stuff in there and say, hey, is my financial advisor doing a good job? And ChatGPT will not lie to you.
There's a whole lot more tools now.
Absolutely.
But even then, guys are so focused on, and again, when we talked about being laser focused and never failing and never having that come into your mind, that's the same mindset, is that money isn't relevant. It's not, it is, but if you're going to be that guy, you're going to be him. Money isn't relevant.
It's
right? The only thing that's relevant is you being him.
Speaking of him, I know you follow the NFL really closely. Who do you think is him right now in the NFL?
I think Puka Nacua. Yeah, I think, and Drake London, both those. If Drake London's on his way up doing that, right? If he has a good game today, a big game today, I think he should be in that category with Puka Nacua. There's a lot of other guys that are right there. It's Amon St. Brown, I think. Unfortunately, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase just don't really have the quarterbacks right now and the defense to really help them stay relevant. So they're in a tough spot. I think that Jonathan Taylor is definitely making himself the front runner and MVP. If they can continue to keep that up with Jones being the quarterback and doing as great as he's going to get comeback player of the year, I think. But I think that he has a really, really good chance at being the MVP of the year. But like I said, there's a lot of guys that it used to be Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase without a shadow of a doubt, and then there was Mark Henry, Saquon when he went to the Eagles, he blew up. So there was a lot of guys that are definitely in the category of that. But I think if I was to say right now, the top guys would Puka Nacua and Jonathan Taylor.
Now, those guys wouldn't qualify for this question because they're too focused on training, most likely. Who would you like to grab a drink with out of the NFL right now that would just be fun to hang out with?
Oh, he's just without a shadow of a doubt, George Kittle.
Incredible. Incredible. Is there anyone that you ever had a beef with that you think you should probably iron it out with before time's up on this earth?
I did it with Dana. I called him. Just tried to, break, because it was, I do not dislike Dana. I have my differences and disagreements with him, but I don't dislike him. I would say that I respect him for what he was able to bring the UFC to. Now, I have my other things that he does that I don't like, but that's just being human, right? But I don't dislike the guy. In fact, I respect him for what he's been able to do. I would say, I know me and Tito at one time because of the TV stuff and how I used to go after people. But I've never disliked Tito. I've always been good with him. And I even called him to make sure he understood, hey, I'm not fighting no more, man. I wish you nothing but the best of luck and congratulations. So we put that to rest. So I've made it a point because of my faith, because it says that, like, you've got to be able to live your life without hate or having, hate or towards somebody or anger towards somebody. You want to try to make it right. And so I've done that. And off the top of my head, obviously I'm sure I've had other things, but I always try to make that point to where I'm not going to be in a situation where I have issues with people, because they can easily be fixed by just talking, by just getting it out there and trying to make things right is the best you can. If someone doesn't want to, you can't do anything about that. But I've done that, especially at the end of my career, where I had the time to be able to reflect on my life, and then some of the obligations through my faith that I had to make right, and I did those. Yeah.
Okay, let's try to get you to step on the wrong side then. How do you feel about power slap?
What? That's hard to watch.
It's for sure.
It's just hard to watch. I don't understand the concept. I mean, I can see the entertainment aspect of it. I see that. But also, I can see the entertainment aspect of dogfights.
Right.
Totally.
Right? There's entertainment there, right? But at what cost? Mm-hmm. Dogs? Absolutely zero. You can't do that. You're going to go to jail. So, yeah, someone explain to me, what's the difference between a dog fight and a slap fight? Other than dogs are competing. They both have this equal chance. In slap fighting, you're getting hit, and you can't move, and you can't defend. And when this thing, and I don't know, but if this thing, because let me break it down this way. If you were to start a business like the UFC did, and when you do that, you have this 5-year kind of plan of what it's going to look like. Like, what does it look like? How does it get better? From the start to 5 years on where we're going to be. And you'd look at it and you'd go, well, guys, fighters are going to get better, right? Techniques and everything are going to start developing, just as we saw with striking. And I saw that. I even did an interview before it ever started. I said, guys are going to be very skilled at striking and very skilled at grappling. And I said, it's going to become very difficult to win at either one of those because everybody's going to be skilled. I said, that's what we're going to see in the future. I could see it. In slap fighting, the only thing I see is that nobody's getting a second shot because they're going to get so good at being able to hit the button that nobody's going to be able to get the second shot. Like, it's going to be the first slap and game over.
First slap wins.
It's over.
It's a coin toss.
Unless, I don't know how they change it, maybe you can only hit them with the fingers, But if you're able to hit them with the hand, over. Like, there's just no way that someone that knows where to hit is going to be able, and again, I don't think anybody that has been a world champion and has been taught how to hit the button is actually doing it.
No way.
Right?
Because you got to get it back.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not letting anybody hit me.
No way.
It's just going to be a repercussion. Right? But at the same time, I understand the entertainment value. I really do.
It's pretty brutal.
But it's so, like I said, I've talked dog fighting, but sword fighting and all that stuff. People used to complain about UFC when it first came out. There was no rules. They were like, dude, this is crazy. It's stupid. It's not. It's like, I think slap fighting is not even close to the beginning of the UFC where there were no rules because you could defend yourself. So to me, I don't want to bash on it. I already did, but I don't want to go too far on it, but because maybe I don't see it. Like, maybe there's something there. I don't know. But it just, for everything me as a fighter and how I understand fighting and competition and safety goes against all of it.
being in the UFC Hall of Fame, what are there any perks for being in the UFC Hall of Fame?
I've never looked at it like that. I've always looked
just
at
since
it.
you've been in it, you know, are you on a mailing list? Do they keep you updated on things? Do they offer tickets
Get a
to fights?
postcard. Yeah.
Is there any? What is it? You know, what is that? Or is it just sort of an accomplishment? Not sort of, but it was an accomplishment that hits and that's sort of there.
Yeah, I think I got a jacket and a certificate, I believe. But yeah, no, nothing. There's no gathering, and if there is, I've never been there. Right? I've never invited. But I don't know that there's anything other than just saying, "Hey, congratulations, you're in the Hall of Fame," and that's it, right?
Interesting.
So, but again, I'm not looking for anything.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it's like a gold medal. What's the value of a gold medal?
Yeah,
It's the
it's
medal.
like it's an accomplishment
It's
that
an
you have in your
accomplishment.
heart and your mind, and you know, for me, it's something that I appreciate very much because it shows the appreciation from the fans and the organization by me being in it, and it's forever.
Oh yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, and you will always be a legend. So really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alive and dead.
Alive and dead. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, and like I said, I grew up. I was a wrestler growing up, and I grew up watching UFC from UFC 1, and so I watched you early days, and I can't believe I get to sit in a ring with you, and also you're not going to punch me and beat me up, and that's pretty awesome. So I really appreciate
I
it.
don't think I'm punching anybody anymore.
Thank goodness.
That's great.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty content on talking.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for being here, Ken.
Yeah, I appreciate this. It's been fun.
Yeah. It's been our honor. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right. See you later, everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.